everybody. We have returned. You can hear me.
Yes. 1, 2, 3.
Anything but
Yeah.
that.
Yep. I can hear all of us and see all of us. Phenomenal.
Yay.
All right. Hello, friends. How's everybody doing? Good. Good.
Good, 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 good.
Oh,
I
I live.
hope everybody in chat's doing well. Hi, Liv. Yes. Welcome to History of Horror Movies. My name is Thea the Bard. My pronouns are she, they. I am a content writer for Real Women of Gaming. I also help with the social media with our coffee and our Tumblr. To paraphrase Kinky last night, because I really liked it, my qualifications are that I have a degree in history and that horror has always been a comfort for me. I had a very special summer right before high school where I was finally able to watch horror movies, and I have never looked back. And these are two of my absolute fucking best friends in the entire goddamn universe. Please introduce yourselves.
You go first. I'm not important.
we are in an ad break. But I'm King Nightmare. I don't know. I encountered horror very early in my life, not on purpose, and pretty much just been watching it ever since. So that's my story. Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Crimson Pleasure, the founder of Real Women of Gaming. My qualifications for talking about horror are I started watching horror way younger than any child should be introduced to horror.
No
Uh,
supervision.
my dad did a thing where he said, "Whatever you do, do not watch this VHS tape." So as soon as he left, I watched that VHS tape, and I watched it 1 and 2 back to back.
Yeah, you did.
When I was like less than 10. Since then, besides the trauma and the morbid humor that we all have and share in common, I I read a ton of horror. I'm a big fan of horror short stories. I write my own horror short stories, and I have been a horror writer for a very long time. And no, you can't see it ever, never, never. And I love horror anime, video games, movies, shows, webtoons, graphic novels. My therapist really wishes I didn't. So
Why?
there you go. She really would like me to lose myself in something else that isn't horror, but she doesn't think it's healthy for my brain. Then again, being a child
Okay.
in my parents' house wasn't healthy for my brain either. But here we are.
It's a take. Yeah.
Hey.
She could be wrong.
I guess I should
Yeah.
have mentioned the first encounter of horror I had was something that prompted me to have nightmares every night and then have an exorcism. So
Yeah. Watch that movie.
sure, probably we need to watch a movie.
Yeah.
I want to know
I
why.
don't I honestly don't remember my first encounter with horror. So my mom, Mary Ellen, was funny. She liked horror, but she was one of those horror fans. And my dad was very strict with the whole no rated R movies. I don't really want you watching any horror or anything like that. But if he wasn't home and Mary Ellen wanted to watch something, I was called upon to get into the bed with her to watch the things. So I watched things like The Bad Seed, and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. And Whatever Happened to Baby Jane has fucked me up for my entire life. And I want to share it with others. I don't know why I want to watch it again, but I want to share it.
It's trauma
And
bonding.
it is.
When we watched, did we watch that one?
We
I
haven't
haven't
watched that one yet.
No.
We haven't watched that one. We watched
We were
something
talking
else.
about the autopsy of
Jane Doe.
Jane Doe.
Yeah.
But
So I watched things with her, and I really liked it. And I read things. I really liked horror. I was always really obsessed with like horror Halloween, and I very loudly proclaimed that I wanted to be a witch all the time. I made potions a lot. Like I really was like, this is what I want to do with my life.
as a
And
Catholic.
now I'm a pagan.
We're all heathens, by the way.
Yeah.
I am the pagan. I am the witch. I love the Egypt. I'm obsessed with Anubis. Why not?
Kinky and I are recovering Christians. And
I'm
yes, it
full
should be
blown
said that
heathen.
way.
I've never been baptized or anything.
I'm envious of you. I was first baptized in a sink because they thought I was going to die. um, anyway, so, horror's been there all the time. And it is something that I do very much chase and look for and seek comfort in, as do my fantastic compatriots here. Okay. So trigger warnings, we're talking about horror. And we're going to talk about history, and we're going to talk about a little bit about film history. So, yeah, that's going to be things. Sexism, racism, blatant fucking homophobia, awful fucking white men. There's your biggest trigger warning. Awful fucking white men doing awful fucking white men things. And if that isn't a regular trigger warning, I think it should become one, because I think that encompasses a lot of other things. Also, all of us cuss quite a bit. So,
This panel is a trigger warning.
This panel is a trigger. We are the trigger warning. And I'm going to try not to talk about, try not to talk too fast, but I probably am going to. We all like to talk fast. So let's go. Take my hand. Here we are. And I really want to start off by saying that all horror started off as stories. We've always had it, whether or not it was a cave painting, or something that started off sitting around a fire. Horror has always been there, because stories are a reflection of our society. They are our hopes, our dreams, our worries, our concerns. And horror was always a way to sort of make sense of things. Things that were going bad, things that were going wrong. Why is my cattle sick? Why did my wife die? Why is my kid fucking weird? Is it monsters? Is it gods? Is it demons? And things like organizations like the church very much did play that up while also suppressing it. The Catholic Church is very masterful with that sort of a thing. Because they use it to sort of keep everybody scared and to keep everybody very much within the church and following rules. And then as we have evolved into society, it has been considered more of an art. You would have Orson Welles scaring the absolute fucking shit out of everybody with a radio show that he made seem like it was real, that the world was ending, and people legitimately thought it was, and then they had to usher him on back very quickly to be like, no, this was a joke, haha, lols. But so it's always been there with us. The dark things inside us and next to us have always been here, and they're always going to be here. And so you might as well kind of sit down next to them as much as you can and get some fucking comfort from it. We're here. We're from the dark, and we love you. So yeah. Um, you end up with books like our dear great grandma Mary Shelley, who just really didn't want to be at a really awful party that would not end with essentially her husband's boyfriend, fucking Lord Byron, and her sister, who he got knocked up and then was trying to hit on her. That's a whole other thing. Or you end up with the Bronte sisters, who lived near a moor and were very isolated, and who had their mother die when they were young, and all of this crazy shit that happened to them and their family and tragedy. And instead they turned it into stories, like Wuthering Heights, which, by the way, I'm going to fight because there's not nearly enough ghost in that story. But that is nothing against the author. She's a fucking badass. It's just, everyone's told me this is a ghost story and there's barely any fucking ghost yet, and I'm almost done. Anyway, so then we end up into movies, and horror movies have been some of the first movies that we ever had. Even before the talking movies, you had these really weird, fun, fucked up horror movies. One of the first one was The Haunted Castle, or The House of the Devil, and that was all the way in 1896 by Georges Méliès. It even had special effects to make it more scary. Little skeletons and bats and shit. He superimposed things on his film when film was brand new. Good for him.
Yeah.
The literary, what we would call like a literary age, would be the early 1900s through the 1920s. And that is a ton of dope-ass foreign horror movies. A lot of them, unfortunately, have been lost. So these are early retellings of a lot of the movies that we see in monster movies now, like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which is one that Kinky really likes. And it is very, very sad that we don't have them anymore. But what we do get instead then is this kind of golden age. And that is them Universal monsters. I love them so much, they're on my fucking bed. Give me those Universal monsters. Are they correct with their source material? No. Do I give a shit? Actually, it's one of the few times I don't. These are those really, really phenomenal stories, and they actually ended up saving their whole studio, because the studio had been started by Lamont father, and he was like, great, we're going to do dog movies, we're going to do westerns. And everybody was doing dog movies and westerns. Everybody was doing westerns with dogs in them. So he started to step down. His son started to step up, and he was like, we're going to make Dracula from the stage version. And everyone thought he was crazy. He even hired an immigrant from Hungary, which was a big deal, because there was a lot of racism about Hungarian people from Eastern Europe. I mean, let's be honest, there was just a lot of racism in America at that time, all the way. But Bela Lugosi was having a hard time finding a job anywhere until he got into the stage production of Dracula. And what they also did was they took Dracula, and they kind of were the first ones to do that. Gus and a child. They were the first ones who did this twist where they released Dracula on Valentine's Day, and they were like, this is a romantic vampire. Look at him. He's suave. He's sexy. And Bela was like, sure, I'm fucking suave and sexy. Let's go. And from there, then they were able to do Frankenstein. Hi, buddies. And then The Bride of Frankenstein. And they went through pretty much everything from The Wolfman, The Phantom of the Opera, Creature of the Black Lagoon, The Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, the Invisible Man. They created this powerhouse universe filled with characters and rules that then we associate still to this day with this is how Dracula is, this is how all Draculas are. Wolfmen, all of these creatures. We would not have that without Universal monsters. Also, at the beginning of these movies, so particularly like Dracula and the first Frankenstein movie, most of those directors and cast were queer. In Europe, most of these movies were queer. There was also a lot of things being written, directed by women. And it was this really beautiful time for people who were going to be very quickly othered and very quickly kind of put underground. And that is because of the Hays Code. The Hays Code has a lot of consequences. It is, I think, a really easy way to think about it is that it's like McCarthyism or the Comics Code. It basically became a code of conduct of how Hollywood was to depict its movies, what they were allowed to put into it, who they were allowed to hire. And it put a lot of people in the closet where you just weren't going to work. And it made it so that a lot of any queerness had to be subtext. And that unfortunately continues pretty far into like the 50s and the 60s. It's like when you're watching like Daughter of Dracula. And it really sets up now what we think of with like villains and horror people being very queer coded, but it's just because they're going to get killed at the end or they're going to be punished at the end. And perhaps, I don't know how much either one of you want to speak on this. I am asexual, and like I said before, my pronouns are she, they. I think I have always seen myself in monsters and in horror because they are the other, and I am the other.
I mean, that's kind of permanently where I sit.
Mhm.
Even if my sexuality wasn't a thing,
Mhm.
or my neurodivergence gets black. So you're always other in that way. But yeah, you empathize more.
Yeah.
I will.
I do. I think, and a lot of queer people have talked about this. There was a really great documentary on AMC Plus, which was called, hold on, I have it down here with my sources, Queer for Fear. And they talk a lot about these movies and horror in general and how it is that so many queer people, people of color, and the space that a lot of us put together, we find ourselves kind of rooting for these creatures, or we find ourselves more so identifying with them. Like we always hear that Crimson's our resident vampire. Kinky and I both really like werewolves and cryptids, and all of us, I think, basically just identify in a way that is just we're not human.
And who wouldn't want to be? Look at them.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
A mess. But so the Hays Code has these kind of lasting consequences that, fuck you, Mr. Hayes. We've turned it into our own community, and you don't get to be here because you're dead. So, and all of us make fun of you. But anyway, so then World War II, we have these atomic years fears. And so that's from like the 1930s into through the 1950s. There's this really complicated time for horror in the United States. And it turns into a lot of anybody who's not fitting into the very strict paradigm of what you should be as an American in post-World War II America. You are a monster. We talked about the bad seed a little bit. That's a little girl who's murdering people. And you should fear her. You should fear your children because they could be another. You should be fearing people who are not from here. You think about Invasions of the Body Snatchers. You think about like these teenage werewolves and things like that. It is all of these movies in the late 50s that are worry about your children, fear for your children. Are they listening to rock and roll? Are they doing all of these things? And it was a way to sort of try to scare kids into being what the government wanted them to be. But at the same time, you have these incredibly relatable characters who are teenagers who are turning into monsters normally against their will. So does it really work? Is it really effective? I think for adults they think it is, but I don't think for teenagers it is. Thankfully then we do start to move out of that. And we get into later in the 50s and into the 60s, which is just like, do you like gimmicks? We got gimmicks. So that is a lot of innovation that's happening. They're marketing for movies very differently. Alfred Hitchcock is coming very much into the forefront. And he had such an interesting and weird way of making films, producing them. And he would like hire people to like run out of the theater screaming at ports. You have movies like the original House on Haunted Hill, which I love. And for some reason, so many of those like Mystery Science and Elvira kind of shows mock mercilessly. But that movie did so much for trying to figure out different ways to show your movie. You even could buy 3D glasses. Those were your ghost glasses. So if you wanted to see more ghosts, you could put on your little 3D glasses and see ghosts that were on the film that not everybody else could see. They also put machines under the seats in the theater so that they would move randomly during the movie. Breezes came through. You know, this is before air conditioning and all of that. They really went all out for this movie to scare people and to have them come back. You also have these like really huge, lavish, like historical films that are happening, like Ben-Hur and The Robe and stuff like that. And so now instead you're getting a lot. Yesterday we watched Deadwood. We watched Plan 9 from Outer Space. And you can say a lot of things about this movie, but his use of practical effects to make sure that now see the strings on like the saucers and everything. But, you know, brawling things. It's almost like a big middle finger to America. Or you have so sorry. George Romero going and completely turning the zombie genre on its head and choosing to make zombie movies that take place basically in only a couple of different locations. Everybody's wearing the same clothes. If they're wearing clothes, because his zombies are often naked. Low budget, compelling, script and actor driven movies are happening a lot in these horror movies because they're not getting that kind of attention from Hollywood. They're not getting that kind of budget, but they're still being made. And we still talk about them to this day. So now let's get into the 70s and the 80s. And let's call that The Devil Made Us Do It. because now we're very, very interested in the occult. Again, the Hays Code, not so much a thing, but we have a brand new fuck up by a white man. McCarthyism! We hate gay people. We hate immigrants. We hate everything about ourselves and things that give us joy. I would love to go back in time and bully that man, which again is why I'm not allowed to have a time machine. And if either of you want to talk, just stop me.
It's your time to shine.
Oh boy. So the occult becomes this huge, huge theme because again, we want to scare everybody about everything. Look at Rosemary and Guy Woodhouse. They're an average American couple. We love them. And then the devil. She has a devil baby. There's witches. How awful. You end up with movies like that.
Suspiria.
Stephen King becomes very predominant at this time, for better or worse. You have Carrie with her telekinetic powers. You have Reagan in The Exorcist becoming possessed just because she played with a Ouija board. Which, by the way, Ouija boards have a patent. And if you don't understand what that means, it means that it was proven to work at one time. So maybe they're not that far off with that. But their foreign racism that happens at the beginning of the movie, that it's just some demon that comes in from like the Middle East or whatever, yeah, that's bullshit. Anyway, by the way, my dad has never seen The Exorcist because the Catholic Church banned it in the 70s and have since unbanned it, but because they banned it at one time, my dad still refuses to watch it. And if it is on TV and my mom would have it on, he would like get very dramatic and leave. It's funny, actually. You have families who are being terrorized in houses in the poltergeist. Like, you can't even have a regular white family in the suburbs anymore. You've got demon kids making a comeback in The Omen. You know, so again, we're fearing our children. We're fearing board games. We're fearing properties. We are fearing anything that is an other, and we are going to try to make our kids fear it. Very much a theme in It, like Crimson was talking about a town becoming so insular, but also being rotted from the inside, that this like otherworldly creature from a different dimension comes in and pretends to be a clown and gets to murder a whole bunch of people and then go to sleep for a few years and come back and do it again because Derry is just so fucking scared of everything else. And that still kind of, and we were talking a little bit in not the last panel but the panel before about The Devil Made Me Do It. In the 80s, there was such a big, wild fear of the occult and the devil, of Dungeons and Dragons, of everything. We even have Ed and Lorraine Warren going into a very real court of law and trying to prove demonic possession in America in the Devil Made Me Do It case, which there was a movie about very recently. And like their testimony was being very much considered, despite the fact that it was just religious testimony and not scientific testimony. And I know that that's very divisive for a lot of people, and we're not going to get into that too much, but it's just something to think about. That was the level of fear that we had in the 80s. And it keeps going all the way through there. But first, we need to take a step back and get into the 1970s. And we got slashers, baby. They start in the 70s and they go into the 80s. So that is one of my favorite subgenres of horror. I think that it is just so fun. And it can happen in so many different places. Camps, homes, religious institutions, everywhere. A slasher can happen in any place. There's a lot of back and forth actually about what the first slasher film is. My argument is actually Psycho. But if you want to say like the first one that would happen like at a home with a really, really big body count and not just like 2 people, then I guess we're going to have to say Black Christmas and Sleepaway Camp. And if you want to know about those, I have watched them, so you don't have to. They are wild. But they really do have the start of the rules that we have for a slasher killer. You've got a gimmick. You've got a weapon. You've got a specific group of people that you're targeting. You've got folks that are fighting back in a very specific way. And you've got a fairly high body count. If you want a big rundown on slashers, you can go to our website. And last summer, I did an entire series of different slasher movies and slasher summers films. And that was a lot of fun. And since we are getting close to the summer, if you are looking for a movie to start your summer slasher vibes, ease on into Friday the 13th. Or you could really do Fear Street Part 2, which is one of my absolute favorite things. I rewatch that a lot. Also, Fear Street is coming out with new content soon. I cannot wait. So excited. So, like we said, the 80s is kind of a conglomeration of a whole lot of different things. You've got the Devil Made Me Do It stuff with the possessions and with demons and things like that. And then you also have slasher movies. And it's kind of almost like there's a fight between like the two, but also nobody really cares enough that there's a fight between the two. I think everyone just kind of enjoyed the fact that these movies were there. And you start getting really cool movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Halloween. Things that we slasher films that we consider to be the creme of the genres that still are continuing to this day. Like we just finished up a trilogy for Halloween, where they came back and kind of just rewrote everything on an alternate timeline, which was interesting, and I enjoyed them all. So then you start getting into the 90s, which is like CGI, remix, family-friendly flicks, creepy call-outs, and zombies. Why? There was a lot happening in the 90s. And the wide range of movies that you're going to get, I think, is also very indicative of why we are the people that we are. Because we would be sitting there watching something like Addams Family Values, which is considered kind of like a Halloween-y movie.
Looking at that,
we're getting the start of the Tim Burton movies and things like that. And then you're also getting movies like Disturbing Behavior, where suddenly now we're getting kids who are like, fuck this. We have our own version of counterculture and fuck authority. We just want to live and we want to figure our own shit out. And we're not going to be like you. And we're not going to be punished for it. So it's a really neat thing, because for so much of like the 70s and the 80s, it's kind of like if you're going against the grain, these bad things are going to happen to you. Whereas with like Disturbing Behavior, that's bad things happening to teenagers because of their parents, because of older people and the generation before us. You also start getting these films like the Scream franchise, and that was making fun of a lot of the movies that had been done previously. And it's breaking down the rules for how you survive a horror movie, which then gives us a whole bunch of different parodies. You get a whole bunch of zombies, like in The Walking Dead. We're getting new vampires. We're getting all of these creatures kind of coming back and having this really fun resurgence where with the zombie movies, it is now more so that people are the bad guys and people are the problem. And then we're getting things like Underworld, and that's like sexy vampires versus sexy werewolves. Who will you root for? I don't know. Maybe they should all just kiss. Why not? They're all there in their awesome Hot Topic clothing. Just kiss. The Underworld movies are my Twilight. And
Yep.
We get Anne Rice's interview with the vampire. And that was very big, and it was considered very scary and very serious. And then we get like Queen of the Damned, which again I think was just fan service for the goth kids, and it's a lot better if you've never read the books. So if you've never read an Anne Rice book, go for it, watch it. If you have, then it's going to be kind of tough.
If you are, it's a major downer because you need to know that the vampires don't have sex.
Yeah. But then she retconned that later because, you know, she decided she didn't need editors. Listen, we could do an entire panel just on Anne Rice. She was a rare breed.
Yeah.
She's the reason why fanfiction writers of our generation are so afraid of creators and being sued. But she had some interesting stuff. By the way, I think one year for our Well That Happened, we should watch Queen of the Damned. Anyway, so, you know, 90s into the early 2000s, we're getting, or coming up like right up into 2000. It's a lot of this like alternative culture, grunge kids, goth kids, kind of taking a stand and fighting back in these movies, and I love that. It became a big thing that I really wanted to dress and be like and enjoy. That growing up where I did in Catholic school and without a lot of money, I couldn't, and now I do. Like, I think today I've accidentally kind of low-key cosplayed as Jessie Reeves from Queen of the Damned. Hi, buddy. But, you know, you can be the freak that you want to be. You can be the creepy creature that you want to be now. And it's a little bit more acceptable. And if you're an adult, then you can do whatever the fuck you want because you make your own money. So now we have so much happening in horror. And that is so fun and so fantastic. What I like to say is that we are all at like the creepy, weird, put together tables in Midsummer. If you haven't watched Midsummer, look at some trigger warnings before you do. But we have so many different kinds of horror. And let's get this straight. All horror is valid. Cringe is dead. If you are a kind of person that's like, that's so cringe, you can go do some work on yourself. I'm going to say that very kindly. And just let people enjoy things that aren't hurting you. Let people do their cosplays. Let people do their TikTok dances in their cosplays. Let them listen to, you know, Goo Goo Muck or whatever the fuck it is. Leave them alone. No one's hurting you. Calm the fuck down. Horror is for everybody. You find your seat at the table, and if you're not okay with going to another seat, don't go. If the Midsummer thing doesn't work for you, we're in a cafeteria. This is the cafeteria scene of the Gothic high school, okay? So if you do not want to go to another part of the cafeteria, don't go. stay in your table with the people that you were comfortable with, and that's okay. But don't go up to another person's table and be like, you're fucking weird. This is a little bit of etiquette just being given from me to you, because it's a pet peeve that I'm seeing a lot now. We can all eat lunch at Horror High together, and no one needs to be a dick. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have discussions and talk about things. Like, yeah, totally, that's fine. But if you can't trust yourself to have a real discussion with somebody, if it has to be a fight where you win, again, please go do some work on yourself. Figure some shit out. Because nobody wants to have what you think is a discussion where it's just you trying to win. That's not fun. Anyway, so we have tons of different horror. We have this great sort of resurgence of horror that's happening. We have lots of fun indie horror. A24 giving us great things that hurt our feelings and really fuck with our brains. We have creature features that are coming out. We have funny movies. We have parody movies. We have different slashers. We have different home invasion. We have different everything. I'm a firm believer that you can find pretty much anything you want in the horror genre right now. Especially because in the early 2000s, there was a lot of just remaking things. Taking stuff from Japan, like The Ring and the Grudge, and then making it American. Which kind of shitty, but also gives America a little bit of a way to dip their toe into the international waters, and has made it so that now people like me sit there and watch Korean horror movies and sweat and cry, and then we're like, that was phenomenal. And I know that I love those movies and those books. I know, Jude, we were talking about it. We're hitting 7:00. So, yeah, that was a very quick, very brief history of horror. And what it has ended up being is that there's a lot of it for all of us. There is something for you. If you are not sure where to get started with horror, feel free to message me, message one of us. We will happily help you. Or look around and you'll find something. Even if it's like a funny parody kind of a thing. Yeah, we also have a ton of different articles on our website, both reviews, top 10s of different kinds of things. If there is a subgenre of horror that you are interested in, that you want to know more about, let us know. I will probably write an article about it. Because I have a problem where if I think it's remotely interesting, I will write. So very quickly, does anybody have any questions or comments? Anyone? Bueller? Is there anything that either one of you two would like to add while we're waiting to see if there are any questions or comments? I'm not really sure if I want your concerns, but you could throw them out, I guess. You're muted, Grim.
I said, no, you did beautifully.
You. I know it was fast. It was a lot of things we had to cover. The 1800s to now. That's many times. This could have been a 3-hour panel in and of itself. Yes, the warnings that came on old movies like Night of the Walking Dead. Like it said somebody along the lines of, this was a true story. Yeah. They would do that a lot. That happens a lot with storytelling. Even with the Grimm fairy tales, the original ones, they kind of are like, this was a true story. I think it's because a lot of these stories come from people having an oral tradition and being like, this totally happened to somebody I know. Whereas it was kind of just like meant to kind of like, scare you. Also, if you are told that the Blair Witch was real, oh my God, Blair Witch. That was also amazing marketing that happened, where they really legitimately had a whole bunch of people thinking that it was real, or the first Paranormal Activity movie. Both of these say that they're found footage. If you think that this was based on a true story, that is going to be a hell of a lot scarier than just a regular movie. And whether or not it's being scary to kind of like reinforce government things, or just so that the movie itself is scary, or to up the emotion of the story and the stakes. That's why you get things like that. Penance says, I think the resurgence of horror in the 90s was the found footage genre. Yeah, I totally skipped over found footage, and I don't know why, because I love found footage. In fact, I was watching the I had them in the background, the Paranormal Activity movies, while I was doing this outline. Maybe that's why I didn't think to put it in, because it was just in my brain. But yeah, found footage is a really, really fun subgenre of horror that really harkened back to that like 1950s, can you trust your neighbor? While still being able to then put a spin on it where, you know, the Blair Witch is a thing and everything. One day I'm going to have to write about how the Blair Witch Project was made, because what they did with that was amazing. But we are buffering.
That terrified me. Absolutely terrified me. I've talked to
Guess
people
what?
about this before. I didn't realize. I thought it was a documentary when we went to the movie. I was.
Well, they made it seem like it is. The website is still up.
Yeah, I was.
It doesn't work now.
I haven't gone camping since.
Guess who else was traumatized? The actors.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing the next panel, so I'm going to talk for a minute. The actors were given just a very broad idea of what this movie was going to be, and they were told that it was a documentary, that they were going to be shooting a documentary. That is why they used their real names. They would have scripts delivered to them at the beginning of the day that were very generic, and sometimes their scripts did not match, and you were told not to tell the other people about something, like the throwing away the map. The reason why they were so upset was because the other two didn't get that in their script. That was all genuine. They would come over, and that was real. They were just out there, fucking around in the woods, sleeping in the woods, filming in the woods. They didn't go back to a hotel. That was their lives while they were filming this movie. And then producers and crew would come over and fuck around with the tent. And so now they're sleep deprived. They have no idea what's real or not. They're in the middle of the woods. This is a time when you didn't have cell phones readily available. And it made an amazing fucking movie that now I feel bad that I enjoy. When I found out how much they fucked with them.
Yeah, very much like Shining is an absolutely great movie. Ruined that woman's life.
Yeah.
It was both Jack Nicholson and the director, whose name I don't remember.
Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley Cooper.
What
disrespect on that man's name?
Well, so much disrespect. Also, The Shining is a little bit overrated. Shelley
Duvall.
Shelley Duvall, and the child.
Yeah.
You know, they did absolutely what they could. But working with that man.
Yeah. So if you don't know, the two of them kept Shelley terrified the whole time. They would do anything they could to scare her, give her anxiety, terrify her. So she basically had a nervous breakdown, and then they just kept pushing. And it ruined the rest of her life.
They really gaslit her on it too. Like if you look at the footage from the behind the scenes, like there's a point where
Booga
Crimson Spy
booga.
compared to everybody
I
else,
don't have enough
where
energy to project.
she's just laying on the ground in like a big puffy coat and a blanket, and like Jack Nicholson's like, look at her, this woman, am I right? You know, like
Well, that's Jack Nicholson.
yeah. Um, but yeah, at Halloween, yeah, Halloween was Murder in Suburbia. That was the boogeyman. The boogeyman was meant to be anybody. The babysitter was meant to be anybody. When a stranger calls, the killers or the calls from the call is coming from inside your house. Um, your
That's the
neighborhood
beginning of
isn't
I have
safe.
too many rooms.
Mm-hmm.
If the call is coming inside your house, you have too many rooms.
Frogging.
Yeah. Um, and so one of the things that I love about the first Halloween movie is that it's scary because he's just a shape. He's just a dude. We don't know anything about Michael Myers. This is my critique about the Rob Zombie films, is that by giving him this backstory and being like, it's because he's mentally unstable and his mom was a stripper and his dad was a dick, then it takes away from the fact that this could just be any dude on the street. Also, I think then it just puts a lot of blame on people who, like sex workers, who are just doing the best they can for their kids.
And people who are mentally ill.
Exactly. Um, Rob Zombie has a very specific kind of movie. I also didn't talk too much about like Saw and like Hostel and things like that. If you are looking for super gory movies, you can also look at things like that.
You look at torture porn, body horror. Those are my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I
this is
watch
where Kinky lives.
all of those. But also The Strangers fucked me up.
So good.
I just saw it for the first time the other week.
Mm-hmm.
Hard
first time
pass
watching it.
for me.
So Adderall, I grew up in a very small town in the middle of the Appalachian Mountains in northeastern Pennsylvania. And which leads to a lot of our own scary little things of like, don't whistle at night, don't look out your windows. If you hear your name, you don't, things like that. Anyway, my brother and I went to go see The Strangers, and we were frequently arguing with my dad about locking the door. The door is now locked all the time. But it was not always back then, because my dad very much had that thought of like, we're in a small town and we know everybody and we're safe, which I don't know why so many of our parents had that thought. But anyway, probably because he didn't watch horror movies, honestly. Probably because he didn't watch horror movies. You learn things from horror movies. But so my brother and I go to see this movie, and then we have to drive past a very dead town because nothing was open past like 9 o'clock where I grew up. And then we're driving past cornfields, and then we're driving through the woods and going through another sleepy little town, and then driving down a hill through the woods and to our sleepy town, where my dad has once again not locked the door. So if you would like to know the amount of anxiety that I had by the time we got home that night, it was so hot. You'll take a demon, a ghost, a ghoul.
Ghost schools and knocks in the night, that's my wheelhouse. Anything that is not, that's not real. So I love the demons, the ghosts, the possession, the boxes, stuff like that. Because that I can tolerate. I know how awful people are. I don't need reminded. But give me a good demon, a good sea creature. Now I'm not saying that I won't step my toes into the other categories. I will watch just about anything. Okay, well, like, I'm more likely to get killed by my neighbor than I am by a ghost. I'm not gonna say ghosts aren't real. I'm just saying the likelihood of it happening is much less. So, ghost kills me. Fuck, what am I gonna do about it? Neighbor kills me, however, I should have seen it coming.
You're gonna go and you're gonna fight that ghost in your house for the rest of eternity. That's what you're gonna do.
I'm gonna charge that bitch rent. It's too fucking expensive to have you flipping on the lights, turning on the water. I gotta pay for that shit. So
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna pay rent, or you can get the fuck out.
Listen, Ezekiel, it's time for you to get a ghost job with ghost money that somehow can be put into my bank account.
You turn into a ventriloquist that killed that your neighbor. Yeah, I would 100%. I want my neighbor, and I'd
Yeah.
haunt anybody else I know just for funsies.
I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I just think it's fun to scare people. Like,
It fucking is.
and it's something that I'm trying to curb because I've realized that sometimes some pranks go too far and they can be really harmful. But like my brother and I had prank wars all the time. And for some reason, he was allowed to watch horror movies as soon as I was, which irked me. But that's elder daughter things. But so we watched I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I know everybody shits on that movie, but shut up. So I took a very long hot shower, and he didn't know. And then I wrote, I still know, and I hid behind a door so that then when he went into the bathroom, that was what he saw. And yeah, he screamed really loud, and that was very satisfying. I am the reason my brother is the way he is. I am the thing that haunted him.
When my best friend was living here, if I like went downstairs, if I went downstairs, I actually did this to anybody who's in my house.
Yeah.
I'd go downstairs and we'd have all the lights turned off. And if I heard them using the bathroom, so there's like a hallway, right? So here's the living room.
Mm-hmm.
There's a hallway. There's the powder room, so half bath, and then the door to the basement, and then the dining room, and then it opens up to the kitchen. So I would go down, and I'd go in the kitchen and get my milk or cookies or whatever I was coming down for. And I'd stay, with the lights off, and I'd stand right at the edge, all the way in the back, right at the edge between the kitchen and the dining room, and I'd wait for them to open the door. And like when you open a door, especially at night, you do the scan. They always scan left to right. So here I am. Jesus Christ! Every time, and I would just giggle.
Yeah. My
Good
dad
times.
also would get in on the prank wars. The three of us would take it too far, and then my mom would have to step in. My poor mom, who was an epileptic, so we should not have been fucking with her nerves. But we did, and each other. And I think that's one of the reasons now why I'm like, okay, I need to try to pull this back, and I'm doing a decent job. Like, I have a coworker who is incredibly skittish. She's so skittish. It would be so easy.
Maybe just once a month, just to help you satiate that bloodlust of yours.
That little twinge, yeah. It really doesn't take anything. I announce myself to her, and she's like, "Why are you so quiet?" And I'm like, I don't know why you think I'm quiet. I am a fat person. I don't know why I'm quiet, but I am. And I try very hard to make sure you know that I'm here.
It's because you're a fat person.
Probably.
We walk lighter because we're fat. We don't want to intrude.
That's true.
Well, when husband's walking like downstairs, it thump thump thump, like you can hear it.
He's a man.
But when he comes upstairs, no fucking noise at all.
Toast.
Scares the shit out of me. He'll come up the stairs, and he's done it to
All the
scare
time.
Lily, and I've peed myself. He's like, ah, and I'm like, ah. She screams, I pee. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah,
So yeah, times.
my mentor was a theater major and all that kind of stuff. So I learned how to acting and stage stuff and whatnot. And she's like, you need to walk heavier for this character. You're fat, so you don't make a lot of noise. And I'm like,
That
hmm.
seems opposite of what I think it would be.
That's why we do it.
Hmm.
Especially because like my house
What are you
was kind of
doing?
old growing up. So everything creaks. You could hear me doing anything in my
Don't you run
room
from my love.
and walking around. So I think that was a big part of it too. Because like I didn't want to disturb people.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not saying I'm actually quieter, but I definitely walk as lightly on my feet as I can. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. Uh,
Get away from the Chipotle.
you don't,
I
you don't
can't.
want to be perceived or intrude or whatever, and you're taught that from an early age. If you're fat from an early age, uh, especially how to minimize your impact upon the surroundings.
My husband also just likes scaring the shit out of me, so.
I mean, that's not. That's nice.
No,
Yeah.
do not come
So,
up here to sniff fruit treats. My God.
yeah.
Nah. Denied.
If we'd had
Films
films
like
like
Get
that when
Out
I
when I
was a
was a
kid, I'd
kid, I
avoid so
just,
much
yeah.
psychological horror from you.
Oh my God. Get Out was so good. If you haven't, if your horror has been mostly from the white person lens, really start looking into these other directors and writers. Um, it's going to give you a different perspective, and it's going to give you some different things to really think about and be scared about. Um, and that's really important, and it's really cool. And if you don't get it right away, that's okay. Because you can do some research, you can start teaching yourself and educating yourself. Um, Anything Jordan Peele does is has your immediate attention. It should. It should. Lovecraft Country was amazing and terrifying and so uncomfortable. And he did an amazing, amazing job with the rest of the folks who helped create that, of taking the works of Lovecraft, who notoriously hated women, Jewish people, and persons of color, and making it their own. And then also turning their fears into very real fears, like the white cops being the ones who are doing like this weird elder witchcraft to like children. I was so uncomfortable, and I almost turned it off, and I was like, no, you're uncomfortable for a reason, and you have to watch this right now, and you have to finish this episode, because I was watching it as it came out, because it was coming out in parts. um Lovecraft Country is amazing. It is uncomfortable, and you should watch it. I'm not saying to trigger yourself. There's a difference between watching something to move past a discomfort so that then you can think about it and digest it and learn from it, or watching like for me, what is a sexual assault scene or a non-con scene, which would trigger me, or what we're learning with some of my religious trauma as a more newly freed from Christianity person.
If you're white and you're watching something that makes you uncomfortable because you're white and you sit from a place of privilege, watch it,
Mm-hmm.
sit in that discomfort, and understand and accept and move forward. Um,
Yeah,
is the best way to do it.
yeah. But Get Out, Us, Us is probably one of my favorite movies, and that one fucks me up hard.
It was so traumatizing.
Um, and if you really want to start getting into a horror that is different, start off with like J horror. Start getting into Taiwanese horror. Start getting into Korean horror.
Okay,
It is a whole different.
I just want to put out there, if you're gonna get into any of those things, Japanese, Korean, Taiwanese, Indonesia, if you're gonna get into any of them, I need you to understand that they have a different level of horror. It's like, okay, we had this conversation earlier, so this is how I'm going to point it out. Horror movies in America is like white people spice, okay? I know American spicy food. Like, I know what it is. I get it. Like, you know, I can't handle much outside of it, okay? So, American horror movies, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I got it, okay? But when you go to when you go to other countries, specifically Asian countries, and you watch watching their horror is like the time that I got the Indian TV dinner that said hot and forgot that Indian food hot is a whole different level of heat that I cannot. I I I sucked up them tears and I ate that TV dinner, but holy shit. So
Key,
like,
do you have that photo of us reacting to the Asylum movie still? Oh wait, it should be on
Should be somewhere.
review. Be on the
Gojiro.
review.
Yeah.
Continue
Gojiro.
amongst
Hospital
yourselves.
of Gojiro. Yeah. So it's, I mean, they're fucking amazing and they're so good and they're so much better. But I was not prepared, and there is a picture that proves that I was not prepared for Korean horror. Because Kinky came in, and it was me and Thea watching it, and I was terrified. I was horrified. Now, of course, I took a few punches to the face,
Try.
and I was like, "I'm down. Let's do, horror from other countries." But they don't fuck around. Like, and
No.
there's no, you don't have to have a happy ending in horror, and they don't give a fuck.
No. Here's especially Nation Horror. There's no happy ending, but in any kind of foreign horror that's not American, the problem is there's not a rich culture of stories like handed down from generation to generation, blah blah. In America, because we're such a mishmash, and also so individual, like we're raised to think of self,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So you go and you watch foreign horror, and they have very rich histories on so many monsters, demons, religion.
They have perfected their demons.
Yeah,
It's
what
a
it
very
means to be
style.
what it means to be an outsider compared to being like in the know at the time. You can feel like if you're watching a foreign horror movie and you have someone coming from the outside to try to come in, you feel the isolation, the you are other, you shouldn't be here, you'll warn you, all that kind of bullshit. So yeah, foreign horror, different level. For me, Asian horror, 100% will get under my skin, but like French horror as well, and
I haven't done a lot of French horror.
I've done a lot of French
Why
horror.
can't I find this?
Spanish horror.
Dude, Veronica.
Veronica.
I'm really just thinking of Veronica. Veronica was so good.
It was
So
very
what?
good.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw this out here, and I just want to see if you agree upon it. I was
no idea
thinking
where
of
that
Veronica, and I was like, Veronica immediately reminded me. I know it's not the same. Similar reminded me of Evil Dead Rise. Okay, with the apartment and everything, similar kind of like situational. In Evil Dead Rise, though unnerving as fuck, especially I realized my no square is graters to the skin, and it's always been nail stuff. So there's your trigger warnings there. Veronica did so much more with so much less.
Right, but like Evil Dead's
Both
in
great
horror
movies.
world is the fantastical, over the top kind of horror, whereas Veronica was done in a way that could be almost believable.
Oh
Like you, if you were floating around and observing it, you'd be like, "Oh shit,
yeah. Demons are real.
this is bad." So, yeah, like they both kind of have the same set of vibe, but like definitely different ways, different takes,
Yeah.
and both eat, like both in my mind, good,
Good. Good movies.
and both femme led.
Yeah,
No.
100% femme led.
Hmm?
Very. We
Why?
Kinky
It
pointed
can't
out
have been
that
this
they
far.
just came out with a prequel to Veronica, so you can't wait to watch that. The only reason it took us so long to watch it is because I don't know about the rest of you, but I really want to pay attention to horror, and I like watching things in their original language. However, I don't always have the spoons for that unless it's anime. Fuck that, I'm not doing it. Um, Sometimes I don't have spoons to read everything that I need, you know? So, it didn't come with an English dub, and you know what? It's better that it didn't. And we watched the whole thing, and it was so fucking good. Oh my
I
god.
honestly, I have no idea where that review is. Did it not happen? I could have sworn
You
I
know,
did a
it
review.
definitely happened.
I don't see it under my name. I'm all the way back in 2018, and it definitely was before that. Or after that, I mean.
Hmm.
I'll take a look.
Anyway, there's a fantastic picture of us reacting to this Korean horror movie. I'm kind of just shell shocked. Crimson is terrified, and Kinky looks gleeful because Kinky has just popped in to take in
Like,
this
hey,
part
what's
of it.
going on? Oh, snap
Yeah,
picture.
I'm sweating and also giggling because this is a great release for me. But Crimson, I think Crimson's the real star of the picture. I just kind of look dead inside.
I mean, we always look that way.
Yeah. Because sometimes you got to do things just so you can feel.
But yeah, I looked absolutely horrified. It was great. I love that for me.
Yeah. We very much have bled into minorities in horror time.
This is horror in
I
general at
don't.
this point.
We started. We started.
Yeah.
I mean,
We're talking about
history
like
of horror.
Jordan Peele and femme-led movies, foreign
History of
movies.
horror really nails into like minorities because my horror is
Yeah.
a comment on society. So minorities are almost always, if not
Yes.
always, in horror movies.
If you're looking for, like I said, Fear Street, that's a great one that has a femme-led cast. The main character is not white, and she's also a lesbian. So that's really fun. And then you also get um, two other stories where they're all bleeding into each other. And witches.
Yeah, it was very well done. I can't wait for the next one.
Me too.
I Tokyo drifted. Which movie were we just talking about?
The Fear Street series.
Oh yes, so fucking good. Kinky
Um,
almost divorced me over it though. I watched the second one without you,
Mm,
and
yes.
she almost drew up divorce papers. It's okay though. We fixed it. My
um,
response is, and it always will be, I will rewatch it
yeah.
again.
Mike Flanagan also has some very interesting ideas for horror. And his stuff is not always straight or white. It does tend to have more white casts, though. Until we get into like Midnight Club, that one was probably the most diverse. I haven't seen Follow the House of Usher yet.
That's quite diverse. It's impressively
There we go.
diverse,
Good.
actually.
Yeah.
So, Midnight Mass and Gerald's Game. So I won't watch Gerald's Game.
Same.
But
No, I watched Gerald's Game.
Take it
I
away,
watched
Kiki.
Gerald's
Your
Game.
time to shine.
First off, it's a very small cast. And it's a Stephen King story. So it already kind of loses points with me for that. But
Gerald's Game book is your favorite. The book is your favorite, but you didn't like the film.
no,
That's valid.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. It's I don't know. It did take like the kind of weird trope of disabled person potentially being bad. It was it was a ride in and of itself.
Mm-hmm. Stephen King's interesting. I think he's very much a product of his time and where he grew up and how he grew up. And so he has an other to a very certain and specific point. I don't think that he really likes female characters. They come off as a strong female character. But at the same time, then he's just describing their books, and they're often sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
Or sexual gratification for another man. Like, even if it's a chapter about them, it's more so about how they are pleasing the man that they're with. Which was a hard pill for me to swallow. Growing up with Stephen King and then coming back to it later. If you're a writer, I do really like his book on writing. I will fight him in the back of a Denny's about the use of commas and ly words. He thinks we shouldn't use them, and I think we most definitely should. So, he and I can get in a fist fight about that. He's got some height on me, but he's old, so I think I can get him.
Yeah. Kick to the shin.
Don't actually fist fight me, Stephen King. You have too many fans that I think would get really mad at me if I hit you. But he does have some interesting creatures, and he does have some white male characters who, for that time, are very much the other. But they are still white male protagonists. Usually straight. And kind of usually his self-insert characters.
There you go.
Which is not, it kind of just is what it is. There it is.
I don't like talking about Mike Flanagan because I feel like I'll get a message that I need to provide him with more tears.
Right? I feel like he's kind of like Beetlejuice. If we say his name too much.
I mean, he's obviously working on something different, something new. But it's gonna make me cry. And feel things. Yeah. I was so happy because I made it to the last episode of The House of Fall of Usher. I was like, you didn't get me this time, Mr. Flanagan. And I was sobbing by the end of it. So fuck you, Mike.
Lenore.
Eventually, I'm gonna watch it. That is a book that I really liked. I haven't reread it in a while. I was purposefully not rereading it. And then things just got crazy and I didn't get to watch it. So now I have to make time to do it, and perhaps ask my friends to rewatch it so I don't do it alone.
Sure.
I mean, yeah. I'll watch anything that her husband is in.
Right?
One of the many.
Ugh.
Mhm.
Raul,
Truly.
you sexy bastard.
Even me. This is
Yep.
an asexual flag behind me.
Uh,
And even I.
oh,
Woo! That man
that
could
was
kiss me and stroke my hair.
so hot.
Oh my god, you're about to be very, very sorry
is
that you said you didn't know who that is.
Poor behavior on my part. Oh, Jupe. Wait until you see. Yeah, Midnight Mass was really good. Super interesting take on vampires. Locked some religious stuff for me. Poor Crimson, while we were watching, I think I was singing along to the hymns, just like out of uncomfortableness and seeking anything that was familiar. That one was also so hard because it dealt with dementia and AD, Alzheimer's disease, which is an umbrella under dementia, but it's the one that most people have. But it was talked about in a very common way and in a very like chill way without doing a lot of explaining about it. Like if you were watching that and you were like, I don't understand why that old man looked at that vampire and was like it was an angel, it's dementia. Like that's very much what he's dying from before he becomes a vampire. Spoilers. Um,
So the trigger in Midnight Mass for me was, and she's so good at it, that zealot redheaded lady.
Oh Lord, she's so scary.
She's so scary.
And he made us believe that she was going to be nice with the first movie. I
Yeah.
always trust her. And then all of a sudden she's not.
She's so good at it, and I knew people like that. I grew up around people like that, and I'm like, I don't. I did get through the series. Like I watched it with a friend, so I didn't get through it. But it's.
I'm not going to lie. I was kind of like that. I was like a child version of that. I was a person who would walk up to people and be like, I'm praying for you, while I wore a t-shirt with a rosary on it. And those are things that I am unlearning. And that is one of the reasons why. That's another thing with religious horror that scares me, is just that those kinds of people are who I could be. Had I not
brainwashed by a death cult, it's not your fault.
I know. But there are times when you take a step back from that when you're out and you're just like, holy shit, that could have been who I am. Like getting that validation from a priest and being important just in the way that I control all the keys to everything, because that's the only thing that a woman's allowed to do there. And I like make the cleaning schedule or what the fuck ever. Like that, chasing that validation, that's scary to me in a whole different level when that's something that could have been your best case scenario for life.
I didn't find it either. I could have sworn that you wrote a review. Maybe you wrote it and we didn't post it?
No, you definitely wrote it, and it definitely got posted. But I think there was some that you couldn't post, and someone posted them under their own name.
Yeah,
I
but
think.
if I did the search for the keywords, I didn't see them either. So we'll do a deep dive this week.
Yeah,
But the picture's in the chat.
it's okay.
Yeah.
There you go. This is the picture.
If you're looking for a new movie that's really fun, that's femme-led, that's very different, unfortunately, not unfortunately, well, the lead is a white person, but the director's also female and the writer's female. Lisa Frankenstein is fucking amazing.
This is good. It is good.
It's so good. It's so fun. And if you're looking for something that's a little tongue-in-cheek about the 80s, big mood.
Mm.
It is so good. We have a review of that one coming up soon. I wonder who wrote it. I was really looking forward to that, like to have a retelling of Frankenstein written and directed by women. With, oh my gosh, what's her name? The main actress has such a big credential list to be able to do anything in horror that she basically wants. She was in Supernatural as Claire. She was in the Paranormal Activity franchise. She was, oh my god, what was she up? What else was she in? She was in Freaky as the main character for that. Like, she's done so many different kinds of horror.
Freaky was
that I knew
so much better than it deserved to be.
I knew that we were in very good hands with her taking on this role of Victor Frankenstein, a neurotic college dropout who just built a person in his fucking dorm room because he was sad that his mom died, and turning it instead into a neurotic teenage girl dealing with a whole bunch of stuff. I don't want to spoil it. Ooh, but it was so good. I think it's the retelling of Frankenstein that we all really deserved from a female perspective. Unlike the other one that is not a horror movie that is being very much lauded.
There's another one?
Poor Things is essentially a retelling of Frankenstein where she's the Frankenstein's creature. But again, it's written and directed by a white man. And so a lot of her like liberation is very sexual and very gratifying for men. And I wasn't very impressed. I couldn't finish it. And I've seen bits and pieces of it, and I've read the ending, and I'm just like, why this when Lisa Frankenstein right there? But it also shouldn't be surprising that the horror version is the one that I find more gratifying, probably.
It's definitely I haven't seen Lisa Frankenstein yet, but I do love
it's so good.
modern retellings of things. I
will
like
happily
the newer Black Christmas is the better one to watch. Is that you both saw the original Black Christmas and I did not?
Yep.
And we watched the new one and you're like, yeah, this is so much better.
There's like is that the one with 3 of them?
Yes.
There's like the 80s, 70s one, and then like the He's not. And
then there's Sorority House one that we just
need
watched.
to watch.
No, they're all sorority houses.
I need to watch the one in the middle that you've seen, Kinky, that you said was pretty good.
Yeah,
but the original one from the 1970s, I'm going to tell you, I didn't give a shit about any of those girls.
No.
They made them so dislikable, but they also were the people we were supposed to like be rooting for. And it was so weird. And then there's something, it is scary, because the fact the killer calls and just gives them the most obscene phone calls in this breathy, high-pitched voice. And it's whispery, and he's talking about doing these disgusting sexual things to them, and the police are just like, oh, peeping toms are funny, and you need to lighten up and blah, 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 until people start dying, But it's difficult when you're being made to feel very uncomfortable because you're a person who's been sexually assaulted, and because you grew up female, and you grew up with people telling you that experience doesn't fucking matter to you. And then you can't even latch on to one of those characters to give a flying fuck about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you're just uncomfortable and angry for a multitude of reasons with no release. There's not a redeemable killer. There's not a redeemable protagonist. So it's just uncomfortable for the sake of being uncomfortable.
No.
So if you don't have that trauma that I've had, it might be better. I'll say that. Go ahead, Crimson.
What was the favorite horror movie that one of us introduced to you? This is for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Because though it's campy horror, Final Girls is definitely one of my favorites now.
That's a great slasher flick.
It is a great slasher flick. It is beautiful, and I loved it.
Mm.
I almost everything that you showed me, Kinky, you've already watched. No. Oh God, it's okay. The Luke Evans one, and you know exactly which one I'm talking about.
No One Lives.
Oh my fucking God! Wait, where's my book's right here? Oh my God, that was so good. That
I love that fucking movie. It's so underrated.
it's so good.
It's from the WW. Well, it's WWF. No, but WWE movie studio.
Oh. I'm a big fan of Luke Evans. You could get me to watch him do pretty much anything. To be honest.
Yep. It's definitely one of those movies that start off one way and you're thinking, oh yeah, this is that kind of movie, and then it's like, oh, is this not that kind of movie? And kind of.
Yeah, No One Gets Out Alive, 2021. Wait, is that?
No One Lives.
No One Lives. What's not? I have.
No One Gets Out Alive is a good one. On Netflix, and that monster reveal was unexpected. But it is a femme-led movie.
Pat said we need to watch Night with the Devil.
I just remembered No One Gets Out Alive. That's so fucking good. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was really good. Night with the Devil.
One just came out. It's the one about the talk show where they're like, we think we're gonna get the devil out tonight, and it almost looks like they're gonna try to do the exorcism on the girl. Apparently it is wild, and he really, really liked it.
Yeah, so I was really psyched for that movie. Yeah, I was really psyched for the movie, and then they used AI for their graphics.
Did they?
Yeah.
Fuck.
No One Lives, we take it back. 2012 thriller.
So I might end up watching it at some point, but I'm not.
Yeah. We'll wait till it's like free somewhere. Yeah, never mind. We no longer recommend it. What was your question, Crimson? One that we've enjoyed that one of us?
Yeah, one of us introduced.
Yeah, No One Lives came out in 2012.
Yeah.
It technically has a pretty stacked cast, and
also I think it was
Last Shift, Malum.
So good. Why am I blanking out?
I introduced Thea to The Descent.
That is true, you did. I think that was really entertaining for you.
It was. I think it was just anxiety for you.
It wasn't so much anxiety, it's just being fucking mad.
Why are they doing this?
When I talked about some of these rules before, when you grow up in the mountains with the woods no, it's good. It is very good, Jupe. I enjoyed it. But I have a different experience, which is that I grew up in a place where weirdly, so weird. I love it, actually. So if you grow up in the Appalachian Mountains, it doesn't matter if you're in the south, the middle, or the top. We all have the same lore, and we all have the same
Superstitions.
warnings and superstitions. And it's so interesting to me that somehow and none of these people would talk to each other. Like, my family legitimately were in the middle of a coal mine. They weren't allowed out. And we all have these same rules. I love being on Appalachian TikTok and hearing people say the same things that I grew up with. So the descent takes place in the Appalachian Mountains, doesn't it? Just in more of the south part. And they're going to go into this cavern, which all of that's a nightmare to begin with. But anyway, they don't follow a single fucking rule that I grew up with. They flaunt.
None of them grew up there. It's all British women, British and Irish.
One American, yeah. And that gave me both anxiety and a lot of anger. That they didn't know, and they're just doing things that you just really shouldn't do.
Doing white people stuff.
Yeah, and it made me very, very mad. But I did really like the creatures in it, because the creatures do take that native horror, I guess, of what lives under the Appalachian Mountains, and why so many of our rules are that we got from those Native American folks, and it has just trickled up. Which, again, how is it that people where I lived, who have never had any contact with any of these people, still have these rules?
So
Yeah, everybody has rules where they grew up.
Yep. And then we also have corn rules, which
yes,
the Midwest has.
I'm sorry, if you are not a farmer, don't walk into a cornfield.
Even if you are a farmer, don't go into a cornfield.
It feels like a really, no shit thought.
Mm-hmm.
Don't walk into a cornfield.
Here's the thing. Because some people make corn mazes for funsies, and then people are like, no, we can go into cornfields. You can't just go into a cornfield. You can't do it. Especially if it's as big as the ones that lived around me. You will get lost, and you'll probably die. And if you do it during harvest season,
then it's real high.
You're probably gonna get run over by the tractor. I mean, just because no one can see you.
Unless this is Left 4 Dead. Don't go in the fucking cornfield.
Yeah.
You could be fucking 7 foot tall with a top hat on like Abe Lincoln. They're not gonna see you. No one's gonna see you.
And also, stay away from silos.
Right?
Oh god,
you're gonna get sucked in.
You could drown in them.
Drown.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you want some scary stuff, go on Appalachian TikTok. Appalachian TikTok. That's good stuff.
On the minority front, I do recommend The Descent to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite movies.
Femme-led.
Mm-hmm. Strong.
Mm-hmm.
Very strong female characters, identifying characters at the time, at least.
Who are mostly caring about each other, and...
Yep. They love each other, blah, blah, blah.
And in fact are doing what they're doing to try to help one of them. After
after tragedy. So... I don't know what the mixed reviews are for that one, unless it's like, well, it's female horror. That's
I was
like
gonna
I don't know
say
what
it's
I don't know
female
what the
horror.
mixed reviews are, but the way this movie was shot was so well done, and the first major scare that they get is legit because they never saw the monster. And the way the set was made, they were all
Scares
just
me and
in
them.
the yeah, they were all just in the dark, and they turn around and they got a genuine reaction, and that is one of my favorite stories
Hmm.
from a movie set, honestly. Um, but yeah, I watched that movie over and over. I watched the making of that movie.
Need to
Like,
watch the sequel.
we need to watch the sequel. Uh, I love that movie.
What is your favorite black lead horror movie?
I
The Invitation.
feel like the invitation could have been so much more.
Yeah,
So much more. It should have been so much more. Um,
I can see that. It's just that's one of my favorite movies, and I find a lot of comfort in it. Probably
yeah,
again
I
because I'm
can
a big
see it. I can see it being a
Dracula
comfortable
fan.
movie for sure. Like,
Yeah.
Um, Girl with All the Gifts is definitely a great, terrifying horror movie. Um, so I know Sam Fishburne, or Lawrence Fishburne is the first name on Event Horizon, but it feels like Sam Neill's character is more the main character of Event Horizon. The white, white guy who goes
Ooh.
crazy. So that would be my favorite, but a huge honorable mention is the new Candyman movie.
I was just gonna say the new Candyman movie. Yes,
yeah,
that one was so good.
that was meant for you all. Wasn't meant for me. It was meant for you.
I mean, of course, like and like can't like
Anything's
forget
better
like
than the original.
Us, Get Out. Nope, nope. Oh my God, nope. Jesus Christ. Better than the original, yes.
What is better than the original Candyman?
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I love Tony Todd. You can't.
No, I
I
love Tony
can't. I
Todd.
don't. Care.
Not against nothing against Tony Todd. But I like this one more than the original.
That's fair.
Oh my
I
Again,
mean,
God,
it's
they,
tough for
I
me if
don't
there's a
really
protagonist
compare
that I don't
them.
care about.
I
It's
forgot
hard for me
about
then.
Ma. Oh my fucking God.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Ma is so we rewatched it recently, and I can't remember who I rewatched it
Me.
with.
I never. That was the
You?
first time I watched
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Um, Ma's a hard one. Like, yes, she's
Oh,
a
Vantabella.
villain.
Blade. Sorry, go ahead.
Mm, Ma's complicated for me.
It is complicated, and it's something that I think you should watch yourself and make a decision about. It was still terrifying in so many ways.
Yeah, I mean it is terrifying. Yeah, Blade, of course,
Um,
is good. He did such a
I'm
good
trying to
job
find
though.
ones that are not just like
People Under
um
Stairs it keeps getting mentioned, and there
oh
is a
oh
black main character, but you're mainly following. Um,
Vampires versus the Bronx.
That one was good.
It's just in my head and I
What is
out.
it? Alien Block.
wait, what?
I'm trying to think. It's a British movie.
Demon Knight. See, I was
Ooh,
one of
Jada
those ones that
Pickett
fucked up.
yeah, that was good. Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight is one of my favorites.
So high.
Attack the Block. Solid
The
sets.
Attack the Block. Yes. Attack the Block is about aliens, but there is the Bronx vs. the Vampires. Yeah,
That one was
pretty
really
much
good.
kind of the same vibes as Attack the Block, but it was an American movie. Both are done very well. I like both of those.
What was it? Vampire. There was another one. See, I'm like hesitant to even look it up because I saw it a long time ago when I was like a kid. It's from like the 90s, and I'm so scared that it wouldn't hold up now. And I'm like,
Day Shift was weird.
Are you talking about Vampire in Brooklyn?
yes,
Eddie Murphy?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
as like Dracula, Eddie Murphy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I really liked that one as a kid. I think I got in trouble for renting that one because my dad was like, horror. And I was like, it's funny.
Look at the front of this tape. Does this look like it's terrifying to you?
I recently watched, and it really is made for Black people, but I don't know. I think everybody should watch it. The Blackening, which is a horror comedy.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I'll watch that with you anytime.
It's so
I haven't
ridiculous.
watched it yet, yeah.
I'll watch it with you anytime. Maybe we should do that after the meeting on Tuesday.
Oh yeah, we can.
Something funny for us.
This is a femme-led movie, but also has a Black lead. The Perfection fucked me up.
Ooh, what about
I
Bodies?
I haven't watched
Ooh,
that.
Bodies is a good one.
I keep talking over you, Crimson. I'm so sorry. I get excited.
No, it's what we do every day. It's fine. We talk over each other. Bodies is. I thought I was going to hate it because I'm not a big fan of what's his face, Pete Davidson, but it was really good, and I'm mad about it.
It was really good. Yeah.
You know, we didn't have to deal with him for too long, so that's
No.
good. That helped.
It was a big help.
Spawn. Yeah. Spawn is a good one. Oh my god,
Spawn. I forgot about Spawn.
I also loved Spawn.
If I go back and watch it now, will I continue to? I don't know. I haven't watched it in a long time, but I loved it when it came out.
It gets tough. Because then there are ones like Antebellum and Beloved where, yes, there's supernatural parts to it, but it's also so focused on, like, terrible things happening to Black people just to have terrible things happening to Black people.
Yeah, I don't tend to...
So I agree, Black Girl and her
right. Yeah, I haven't watched that one, but I've heard good things. I don't tend to recommend anything that kind of just the horror is racism.
Right.
Slavery, like that kind of
right.
stuff.
Which is why I wanted to bring that up, because that happens a lot when you're looking within that genre.
And I know Antebellum was one of them. The series. I've only seen clips. I don't think I could sit through it. The Strays is another one. That was, and I did watch that one. And that
which one?
The Strays. It was a rough watch. And I don't know if anybody should have watched it. I don't know. My favorite newest movie though, like Black Lives, I loved Nope.
So
Nope
I
was
fucking good.
loved Nope.
Yeah, Nope was
I
really
love the
good.
whole cast of Nope.
The whole cast of Nope,
Whole
but like
cast.
the alien reveal,
Oh
the
my
fact that I
god.
didn't know it was an alien movie when I went in to watch it,
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. And I was just like, this is amazing. This is amazing.
Yeah. No, we watched Nope. It was so good. I was glued.
Yeah,
I was
just
100% here.
that isolationist atmosphere of them just on that ranch
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So good.
It,
Yeah.
it was so it was for 8 million reasons. Like just watch it. Just go watch it. Go
hmm
watch the movie. If you are
I'm gonna
not
be real honest.
entertained, I'm sorry. You're wrong.
Watch anything by Jordan Peele, and like I know I keep throwing his name out. He's not the only person in the game, but
But he is
he
the
is so
challenging.
good.
He is
Yeah.
challenging and he is pushing and he is um telling the stories that need to be told
Yeah.
and making us uncomfortable. And
Yep.
that's the point. That's
Yeah.
the point.
Yeah.
But he
Here's
also
amazing
is so
horror
good.
and a statement.
He's also very good at showing um that terror and these things that folks of color are afraid of, that maybe someone like me wouldn't think about as much before starting my journey of like educating myself on a lot of things. But he also makes a point to put Black joy into his works, which is wonderful. So then it's not just what we were talking about before. Like I was saying, Lovecraft Country is so difficult, and there are really scary, awful parts, and a lot of very. He doesn't sugarcoat the racism in it,
Nope.
because it's historical. But he also makes a point that even with doing this scary period piece, to make sure that his characters are having these moments of like very real Black joy, and that you are seeing them as people and are celebrating with them. And I think that's important as well, because horror gets so weird. I think sometimes we fall into this pattern of you've got to just have the scares and you've got to show all these bad things happening and this and that. And no, because then you just get desensitized to the scares. You've got to have laughs and you've got to have joy and you've got to have reasons to root for folks. And that means everybody, whether they're queer, whether they're a person of color, whether they're an immigrant, whether wherever they are on the binary, if their gender is weird, if their sexuality isn't straight, you need to make sure that there's a reason why we're rooting for your protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have an unlikable protagonist. Like, bodies. They are not entirely likable people.
No. It was hard to have feelings or concerns for a single fucking person.
Okay.
Rich white, like a bunch of rich assholes, predominantly
Yeah.
white. No, I'm good. I'm good. I got enough of that where I live.
If you like Shakespeare, you'll like Bodies. That's all I'm gonna say on that one. But I will circle back to Jupe's thing.
Yeah, please do.
Jupe saying I've only watched Nope so far.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing for me. I watched Get Out.
Mm-hmm.
And then did not watch Us. Couldn't bring myself to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought Us was gonna be like Get Out. Us is not like Get Out.
No. Not.
If someone had told me like it wasn't gonna hit the way that Get Out does, it hits in a different way. It's definitely creepy. It's definitely scary. very intense. But Get Out was definitely to get everybody's attention
Yeah.
and a conversation. And then
It does.
it does. And then we trust them enough to watch the other movies, right?
And that's what you gotta
So
do.
that's
He
what he's got
knocked
to
on the
do.
door and we let him in for some coffee because we had an important conversation to have. And then he fucked us. Like, you know what? This is terrifying, but we need to talk about this. Great. Let's put this on the table. We're going to have a dinner. Let's discuss it. And then the motherfucker brought a butcher knife because us is terrifying
It is.
for a completely different reason.
Home
And-
invasion is so scary.
Home invasion, period, in any way for me is just I struggle watching it, but I watch it because I do love slasher movies, and most slasher movies are kind of home invasion, being realistic.
Yeah. Whether through your dreams or through your back door, somebody's coming in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's what I'll say on Peele's whole catalog.
Watch all
He's
of this stuff.
definitely kicking open a door for
Yeah.
people, which is great, and it should be.
Yeah, and it
And-
shows us like black media can be multifaceted, and it
Mhm.
should be, and maybe more black directors should get a chance to take the helm on things.
More black
And I
directors,
think they
more
should.
female directors, more, brown, indigenous. All of it. All of it.
Mm-hmm.
People whose genders are weird.
Because quite frankly, one of the sorry.
No, go for it. Go.
One of the best movies that has come out that you don't even need to understand a word of dialogue was Prey. It was so beautifully done. It was so beautifully done.
Which one's Prey?
Yeah.
It's the new Predator movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Didn't
on-
see that yet.
I know. I need to watch that too.
So beautifully done.
I have to
I've
watch
heard
that.
so many good
Hold
things. And I think that what we learned from before in the last panel was that horror has been a space where prior to these codes and rules being written by these, rich white lawmakers, it was a space that was occupied by people who were others. And it very much needs to be a space that is run by people who are others again. Because we all have stories to tell. We all have things that scare us. We all have reasons for those things. And all of that can be communicated, and it can all be consumed and enjoyed to the effect that horror is enjoyed. And we need those stories told. So we do need to be fighting for these folks to be given chances and to be encouraged and lauded as much as we laud people within our community of horror. And I think that most fans have been doing a very good job of that. They've been hyping people up, gassing up a lot of these movies. And that is what we need to continue to do. Because going back to like Nymphy's panel before with editing, money is what makes Hollywood go round.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want these filmmakers, we got to fight for them. We've got to talk about it on social media. We've got to talk about it on panels like this. We've got to be streaming their stuff, buying their stuff if we can. I know that this is a very scary, difficult economy, but if you can buy things, buy things. Not only does that support them financially, but it shows the industry this is more of what we want. And the more obnoxious we are about how much we like it, the harder it is for them to ignore us, which is important. This is a great way for us to fight for other people. So yeah, let's keep fighting. Let's keep talking. Let's get a time machine and punch an old white man in the face. What?
We also need more black and female protagonists in horror games.
Yes.
100%. Is there even a black protagonist horror game?
A black lead? Because
There's games with black people,
there's a black people.
but that doesn't mean they're black led. Female led has gotten better, but
Michonne, The Walking Dead, but that's kind of like it counts. Don't get me wrong, it does count. Oh yeah, the lead male character is black as well. Yeah.
Clementine.
Lee is the main character. Yeah. No, but there's a Michonne Walking Dead one too. I think Clementine. What? Am I wrong?
James Heller Prototype 2. I never played.
Yeah, that didn't get very far at all.
I knew the first one, played the first one.
Yeah.
Lincoln Clay and Mafia 3. The Everett.
That's
Walking
not,
Dead.
that's not.
What? Lincoln
Yeah,
Clay?
I know all these games because.
But 3 of them are like, one's a mafia game, and 2 more are GTA games, and that doesn't.
It's not horror, right? And I know about the ones in the Resident Evil. But Shiva is like the co star of it, not.
Yeah.
There's no. There's not. Short answer, there's not. Now, are there games that are coming out with black leads? Yes.
Yeah, buddy.
But horror, not really been touched.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Because fuck us, that's why. Yeah, I mean, well, Barrett is in Final Fantasy VII, but he's not a main character. The main character you're playing is a white male. So
Adderall was wondering, do we think it's because of a stigma?
Probably.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of video game companies still think they're placating to white bros, so.
Or they are white bros.
White bros, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we're just
Sometimes
now
the call.
seeing... Go ahead.
Sometimes the call is indeed coming from inside the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to see white dudes. That's because you have nothing but white dudes on your staff. 100% getting better now. But that's now. Like.
And really, quite frankly, just like I would say in horror movies, in horror games as well, across the board, really, honestly, indie is where you're gonna see and find more representation than any of the mainstream AAA titles.
Yeah. Play indie, buy indie, support indie.
Yeah, I would say there's an exception, but not everybody plays these kind of games, and that is battle royale multiplayer.
Yeah.
Then you get a diverse cast, almost right from
The start.
the get, be- because I don't know,
Yeah.
because they're doing a good job. I don't.
Apex was the most diverse game coming when it first came out.
Yeah.
When it, in concern with um, like the variety of characters that you could pick from.
Not only in just races, but sexuality and gender expression.
100%.
Which is why I still play it. I love that fucking game. I mean, even Ubisoft with Rainbow Six now has trans characters.
I didn't know one of them was trans, or you've already told me and I forgot.
Sen. It's one of the newer ones. And they have, a lot of different races on that one too. Just definitely, well, it was probably easier for Rainbow Six, honestly, because they were doing different countries all over the world.
There's, I don't know if you've noticed, but there are not white people in every country in the world.
Right.
I mean, probably we've inserted ourselves there, but we don't belong there. I also love. This may seem very silly, but I think you'll understand. I love that you have like one of the thick daddies in like an all pink like outfit. Yeah. Like they legit have like rainbow outfits, pink out. You're running around as a guy, daddy forearms. You've got forearms thicker than my head, and you got a pink outfit on.
Is that the guy with all the unicorn stuff too?
Slay.
So
yeah, I think that's your unicorn, right?
There's a Tachanka and unicorn.
Chunky's the unicorn.
Chunky. He's got the unicorn helmet, and he's all in pink. And then I got Daddy Forearms, which is
Blackbeard.
Blackbeard, which I swap between like his Santa suit and then his April Fool suit. So he gets like a little high pony band bun with like pink ribbons and just like a pink suit, and his gun's pink.
Thea is so cute.
So it's funny. So actually, this is great because then I can stand up for a minute. Hold on. Oh, which I think my back needs. So it's actually a tank top and then it's a skirt. Because I wanted to, live my late 90s, early 2000s dreams. Unfortunately, because I am small, it is way too long. But so it's supposed to be like a tapered skirt and then like go choo-choo. But I'm going to have to hem it, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to hem it properly. It might just end up being like a layered skirt. But, yep. It's a basic bitch in a tank top right now. But thank you.
I mean, we love basic bitches in a tank top.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's very big, too. I probably could have sized down. Like, it could be a dress.
Valorant's fairly diverse.
Valorant does a pretty good job with diversity, yeah.
I don't know anything about sexuality. It's just pretty diverse.
Don't they have Clove in Valorant? Isn't that the one that y'all are playing right now?
Non-binary, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Clove. Clove is non-binary, that's right.
But I got you. I participated!
Yeah.
Which is fucked up because I play Clove. Then somebody stupid takes my fucking character.
But a lot of teachers coming to AAA games seem to be more profit. Well, it's profitable to include all parts of society.
Yeah.
If you want money,
We've we've said this so many times. We don't know if
it's
you know this, but black and brown people also have money and would buy your game if they felt represented.
right.
Queer people have money.
Queer, yep.
Women have money.
Women have
We
money,
we are allowed to have bank accounts since the 1970s. Thank you very much.
right?
And we can have credit cards now that it's not the 1950s. Fucking insanity.
So, for businesses to be called woke and it's a money grab, like, obviously, we live in a capitalist state. uh, but also, we are demanding these things.
If
So,
we
why are
continue
we
to
harking on them when they're giving it to us?
if we continue to buy it, they're going to have to continue to give us the product.
Yeah.
We're
We
basically
this
bullying
is
them.
yeah, well we are the smart ass edition. There is no other
Mhm.
edition. There's this one.
We have good
This is what you
asses,
get.
great asses actually, and smart asses.
Yeah.
But Cake is 100% right. We keep pushing for it. We keep eating up the stuff. Another one, we know when June comes around, everybody's gonna have a fucking rainbow flag for you. Every video game or anything, they have a rainbow flag. And you know what? I'm gonna take the rainbow flag. I'm gonna use the rainbow flag. Why? Because the more people that take it and the more people that use it, they're like, oh, we have queer people playing this game. No
Yeah.
shit.
Will I get the pride charms from Dead by Daylight every single year? Yes, I fucking will.
Yep.
I'm gonna put it on my little bunny fangs ass right there, and I'm gonna run around the killer.
For a
And I'm
long
gonna be
time, my
happy about
charms
it.
were the flag, Black Lives Matter, and Stop Asian Hate were my three charms.
Or
Now,
Apex Legends.
no. So like, were those? Do I believe that those were put out there in support? I don't know, but I know sure as shit that they were put out there because people would want them.
Yeah.
So
I think it was put out there in support because really they were free.
Dead,
They didn't
Dead by
profit
Daylight
from any of it.
and Apex, right? No, Dead by Daylight didn't do it. It was just Apex that I'm aware of.
I mean, Double does the gay flag, and I think it's done all flags.
Dead by Daylight. I have a
Yeah,
couple. I have a couple of gay. No, you're right.
you could
They're
you could get the pansexual flag if you got the
yeah,
different
Yeah.
codes. You could
yeah.
get your
When June
specific
Yeah.
comes
flag.
around, I got them. That's right. I got them. I
I
have
think I
the
got them
flag.
all.
Yeah.
I just
Um,
put the queer one
And
on.
yeah, but
yeah.
when people were attacking Asian people
Mhm.
in America over, COVID, yeah, Apex put out an Stop Asian Hate
During the black.
icon,
Yeah, during the Black
and then the
Lives
Black
Matter.
Lives Matter, and then you obviously get your Pride flag. But those are the ones I usually rep on all my characters. And really, you don't really get too harassed for it. Like I've heard sometimes, like, "Oh, are you gay?"
I
But
think if
like,
anything, we do reverse harassing just within, not even really, but like we look to see if the killer has pride on their hooks
yeah.
with Dead by Daylight, and if not, then I'm like, we can't trust them. I don't know why I think I can trust the killer to begin with. They're gonna, that's their whole purpose, whether or not they have a pride charm.
I just
Yeah.
would rather be killed by a homegrown queer killer than I would
Right?
an
Rather be killed by
outsourced
my own kind.
rude one. I look gay if you ask me. It's because you want an attitude from me. I just assume everybody's queer now. It's so much easier. And if it makes you angry, then that means I don't need to talk to you. That makes me happy. You weed yourself out at that point. Um, but yeah, there is some progression. I just would like to see it more in single player games, like
Yeah.
where you're the main character. I would like that. Me and Kinky have talked endlessly, um, about how we would like to play a multiplayer game where you get to play a black character and you have all black parts, or a female character and you do not, and you have female hands,
Yeah.
or, that would be great because in the forest, Cave Jesus was a black man until you get to his ankles.
Yes.
And then he was white.
Yes.
And we were very confused. And in Demonologist and other games very much like Demonologist, no matter who you are, you have white man hands.
White man hands.
I think it's Boomin too. I'm not sure, but I think Boomin's also made by like
You
one
can
guy.
see her. Yeah, I think Boomin's very, very.
No, you
much
can't
lower.
see her hands. You can see.
You
the
can't
stick.
see her hands. I thought you supposed to look. You
You can
can't.
just not see.
And really, the shades of skin tone aren't that far apart. um,
You
in
got your real
Boomin, but like
basic
Boomin's
shades.
a very basic game, so I don't expect a lot. But like Demonologist got a lot of working parts, and you definitely could fix the hand situation, which is just bizarre.
More than one person is working on Demonologist. Get your shit together. Only one person is working on Boomin. He's got a pass. Okay. He's doing what he can. So, like, stuff like that. Stuff like that was, it's so frustrating. I mean, I'm
I
still
get
mad.
excited. I get excited when there's like a black option in a co-op horror game because that's not usually the case. What is the other one we play? Inside the Labs?
Inside the labs. In
You have to
Silence
unlock
Inside the labs, yeah, you have to unlock.
other characters and you start out as just a white man.
You have three choices: 2 white men and a white woman.
A white woman.
Living her best lesbian life.
Ooh, Hunt Showdown. Hunt Showdown's character builds are amazing, and they were amazing from day one. Yeah.
You all seem to be really enjoying Outlast Trials, and that seems to have some different characters in it.
Well, you
Yeah,
can
Outlast Trials.
customize your character really well.
Yeah, the character customization was done. It's not overly in depth, but it's enough to make it feel unique.
The range is definitely wide enough in skin tone, and facial structures that it feels like you have a lot of choices, and you have a good amount of choices, but it's really not as much as you get in like other games. They I don't know that like we've like can't say enough good shit about Outlast Trials.
Outlast Trials, it was a flawless release of a
It's a
game.
flawless release. They listen. Uh, like everything they put out is good and terrifying. Like it's they keep us coming back. So like, that's really amazing.
No.
Unfortunately, that's the exception on so many things. Outlast Trials is not the rule; it's the exception.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, you got Outlast Trials and like Baldur's Gate, and you get a whole game basically. You get a whole game, and you get to play it and you get to play it over and over again with little to no bugs.
Yep.
I actually have not run into any bugs for Outlast Trials.
I would laugh. I'd be so happy if you had to unlock being white. I would cackle. If you had to unlock being white or a man or both, I would cackle. My neighbors would be like, "Are you okay?" I would be here for it. 100%. We still have to play Song of Horror, and Song of Horror doesn't have a main character as characters you can go through. Um, like I got it for me, I gave it to you, and then neither of us have ever played it.
Yeah.
Like so many games in our libraries. So
You'll have to
many
buckle
games.
down and start going through things, but
So many games.
this is the year where I am trying to get right enough to find the will to want to do things again.
Yeah.
That's valid. That's very valid.
Play my backlog.
No.
Like all
Totally.
those games.
I've been in such a reading slump.
Same.
And honestly, even a writing slump. I know it probably doesn't look like it from our articles, but yeah. We're all going to find the will. The way. This is the way.
Yeah.
This is the way.
The way.
So what horror video game, a movie, or whatever horror content are you excited for that's coming out in the next year?
Hellblade's coming out next month.
Ooh, Hellblade is such a good conversation about mental illness.
Led? Disabled? Such a good game. If you want to feel like a badass, play Hellblade. So good. The fight scenes make you just amp you up. And you can play on easy mode to just enjoy the story, but the fighting scene was so good. The fighting's so cinematic. It's so good. That's the biggest one I was looking forward to. I'm glad I finally got a date. Uh,
Oh, there's an Omen movie coming out called The First Omen.
Yep.
Actually, it's already out. It's in theater.
Yeah. Came out around. It came out at the same time Immaculate did, didn't it?
I'm very behind on what's happening in the horror world, unfortunately.
That's fair.
Oh, I am excited. I don't know if it's coming out this year. I can't remember the prequel to The Quiet Place.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's coming out this year, and I'm so fucking excited.
Day one. Yeah. Good.
Because like I just want more of that world. Like I'm tell me more, tell me more.
Mm.
That is yeah.
I'm excited for Aliens Romulus. I'm giving it a chance. Because I'm a slut for aliens. But if it fucks me over like Prometheus,
I mean, Prometheus is so good. 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 Prometheus is so good.
gonna be upset.
Ooh, I can't wait to watch one of you play the Silent Hill Townfall. You heard that right.
Right.
I said what I said.
Uh, I don't know. I'm
Gloom in the
super
dark.
excited for Abigail for like no
Just gonna
actual
say
reason.
Abigail looks like it's gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be at least funny. I think it's
Yeah.
gonna be funny. Longlegs looks
Ooh,
creepy.
there's gonna be a return to Silent Hill
Movie or game?
movie.
Whoa.
Ooh. And I'll watch Tarot just for the white
I would-
people shenanigans.
The Strangers Chapter 1.
Stranger Chapter 1. I will end up watching it.
I won't say I'm excited.
I'm not, yeah.
It's gonna be scary. It's gonna be scary.
Oh, it's gonna be scary.
Why does M. Night Shyamalan have 2 movies coming out?
Here's the thing.
Feed
That
him his
rat
wallet and put him back.
bastard put Josh in a fucking movie and now I have to watch it?
Yep.
Oh, Josh Hutcherson?
Yep.
Not Hutcherson.
Oh, Zoe Kravitz is starting a directorial debut with Blink Twice with Channing Tatum in it.
There's a Little Nightmares 3 coming out. I didn't know that.
I haven't played Little Nightmares 2. I need to play that one.
I know
Maxine.
Oh, I haven't watched any of the other ones. I have to.
I know, I need to watch all those. A guilty pleasure one for me is going to be Beetlejuice.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I'll watch all this.
That's great. I hate that for me.
I'll be watching all the Spider movies, Sting, Arachnophobia, all the ones that are coming out.
Wolfman! It's the new
Wolfman's
Universal
got
Wolfman.
nards.
No,
Wolfman. Yep, Wolfman's coming.
In a Violent Nature is a horror movie from the point of view of the killer, but not like in a satire way. Like Behind the Mask and stuff, it is from it's a slasher movie from the killer's point of view, and I am very interested in seeing that.
That sounds very interesting.
I'm not sure how I feel about Nosferatu. And it might just be that I'm walking into that with the prejudice of the original Nosferatu and like how anti-Semitic it was and how it really fucked over Bram Stoker's family. That poor woman has gone through so much. But also it's Robert Eggers. And he's got some impressive stuff. So it's going to be a remake of the silent film about a vampire who obsesses over another man's wife. And it's going to star Bill Skarsgård. Yep. It's a Skarsgård.
It's a Skarsgård.
No, very much like the new Crow movie.
Yeah. He's in a lot of things. He's got an action movie coming out that looks funny.
I am both excited and sad because the last season of What We Do in the Shadows is this year.
Aww.
I love that so many things have become public domain, which is coming off of someone else's panel. I think it was yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably.
So Mousetrap has the Steamboat Mickey, and then there's going to be a Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 this year.
Listen, so long as he doesn't have the red shirt, you're safe.
Yeah.
For Winnie the Pooh.
No, see, I can't. I will never be able to watch them because one of my favorite comedians, Susie Ruffalo, does this bit about getting a smear. She goes, male comics come up and talk about their penis for an hour, and people are like, he's a real thinker. So I'm going to talk about a smear. And she goes, the first thing you need to know about a smear is you feel a bit silly. She goes, shirts, no pants, socks. So you're Winnie the Poohing
it.
Mar.
Now I will never unthink that.
It's true.
It's either Winnie the Poohing it or Donald the
Double
Ducking it.
ducking it. Yeah.
No.
I'm more okay with Winnie the Pooh because, like, I don't know, he's just a little stuffed bear. I don't think he has genitalia, and if he does, I never want to know.
Donald Duck pisses me off, so I can't.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Does anybody have any horror questions before we wrap up? Because Thea needs a break, but for her next panel about Star
I just
Trek.
need to put my plate away. You guys can keep talking, or you folks, you friends, you
Y'all.
fiends, can keep talking. I'm gonna just go put my plate away and walk for a couple minutes, and I'll be right back.
Mm.
You're good.
Don't forget to turn your camera
Don't
off.
rush it.
Yep, should have gone.
Nope. Can I? Nope, I can't. I'm like, can I turn off her video? Ooh, I can disable video. There we go. I have to re-enable when we're done. But no, we're big horror fans. It doesn't really. I mean, like, I'm sure we have a million different reasons why, and a lot of people say that people who love horror, it's because it's controlled anxiety.
Yeah.
But
You know when it starts and you know when it's gonna end.
and you know bad things are gonna happen. Like, you're aware. You are aware this is going to be a ride. We don't know for who, but it's gonna be for somebody. So if you ever need horror recommendations or anything like that, please let us know. We are happy to talk horror with anybody. Yeah, and you can stop it at any time. I want to put out there, if you are going to be watching horror, or if you're going to be watching more horror, make sure you try and check the trigger warnings for horror if you have trauma or if you have triggers. It's very important. You're not going to catch everything. It's happened before. I noped out of the black phone. We had no idea what was going to happen. But it happened, and that's okay. They finished watching the movie, and I didn't. So try and look. And I know people, because, like, I know when you were talking about books yesterday, I was downstairs doing something. And, like, you're talking about, like, talking about books and triggers. And, like, people are talking about, like, trigger warnings or spoilers and stuff like that. Like, I get it to people who don't have triggers. But
Yeah.
for those of us with triggers, so it's like, for me, it'd be like, put the trigger warning in the back of the book, because then you have to actively look at it. Trigger warning in the back of the book. If it's like the second to last page of a book and that becomes like the norm, all right, cool. That's what I'm gonna flip to first, so I can check those trigger warnings. And spoilers aren't spoilers if there's something you need to be aware of. So, yeah, you can discover new triggers. I've done that. It's never a fun ride. New triggers is never a fun ride. Kinky's good at giving me new phobias. Never terrified about a person living in my walls, but I am now.
Everybody should be.
Do you remember when Belle accidentally ripped out the towel rack, and I had to pee as fast as possible because there was a hole in the wall, and I was afraid there was going to be like an eye staring at me?
Valid concern.
It was a week, and I blame Kinky for it.
No.
There's the space between the walls is not enough to hold a human, but
you don't know that. You don't know that.
No, the wall that was in, yeah, because it's right there. Like, unless that human's a pancake, and then I have other issues. That's not going to be my first issue.
There's some skinny people out there. Anyway, it's called frogging. Look it up.
What was the movie that we watched? The kid with the voice in the wall.
The kid with the voice in the wall?
I don't know why that just... The image of the eyeball made me think of it. We'll figure it out later. I read a Korean comic where they had ghosts looking through this slightly ajar door from the dark room. I have never been able to look at a partially open door since. I have a couple of short stories that are written about my phobias. One of them is leaving a dark room, like leaving a room and turning off the light, and then somebody's hand grabbing you when you turn the light off, and you know there's nobody there. Fucking that fucked me up. But I wrote a story about it, and I'm good now. So, all right,
In that same realm, Pulse, both the American and the
the kids.
Korean version. No, it is not.
Oh,
Uh, not that one. Where they are so lonely and isolated, they start fading into the walls. Um, Legitimately, no, thank you. If I see like a shadowy figure during the daytime in a corner, guess that's their room now, because I'm not doing it. Nope.
great. I have a new fear. Thanks. I didn't even watch the fucking movie.
Oh my god. That movie makes me so uncomfortable. Mm-mm.
So many things make me uncomfortable. So many. Any finger stuff, especially nails. That's it. I'm out. Nope. Mm-mm.
Nails. Nails? Yeah. Uh, the bending back of it.
Any
Yup.
greater like situation on skin. Anything? Mm-mm. No.
You know what technically isn't a horror movie, but in my mind is kind of a horror movie? American. It's a Nazi movie. American.
X.
Yes. The curb stomping. The curb
I.
stomping.
It's one on my no list. It's a movie I will not watch. American
American
History
History
X.
X, yes.
Yeah.
The curb stomping moment in that movie, that's horror for me. That's horror for me.
Bro,
Absolutely not.
I'm okay with broken bones. Um, but like if this is a like a real life thing that would happen, that if you see somebody like kick something and you see their like leg flop because they broke a bone and it does a thing that a leg is not supposed to do, I'm just oh.
Bloody horror.
I'm both horrified and fascinated by that, to the point where there was a series on MTV called Scarred, and my husband and I would watch it together, like long distance. He would watch it where he was at, I was watching it together. And I'd pretty much watch it like this. But I'd watch it because it's so fascinating to me. And it's so fascinating to me because if you have long, gangly arms, why are you skateboarding?
They all do.
And then they switch up like an accordion. It's, yeah.
And American History
Uh,
X,
American History X.
that changed my brain chemistry in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I think that changed a lot of people's brain chemistry.
But one of the things that I walked away with from that I shouldn't have is the use of threatening people with a curb stomp, and that being one of my favorite things that I secretly keep to myself. That I'm just like, I would like to do that to a person that I
That
really,
is the
really
most
hate.
horrifying moment in that movie for me.
Yeah.
It
And for
left
some
its
reason,
mark.
yeah, it's
That is
awful. It's
no.
awful.
Mm.
That's why I'm saying I shouldn't have walked away with that. But I guess because I was like, that was the most horrifying, awful thing ever. This is the punishment
Yeah.
for terrible people. And now I'm just like, no.
If
No,
it
no.
was for 100%. If it was for terrible people, sure. But everybody in the movie was pretty much terrible.
They were. True.
So there was no discerning that. It was just the
Yeah.
idea of the act.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
That
Well,
movie
on the
is.
note of curb stomping,
Mhm.
we're gonna take a break,
Good
and
transition.
then Thea's gonna come back for
About positivity in
Star Trek. The
And
boldly
now no one's
positive.
like, I'm not going to listen to you because you have been a sociopath this entire 3-hour period.
No.
You'd be like, I'm
No, you
gonna
showed
curb
emotion. You
stop your
did.
heart with positivity.
Yeah, there you go. Put it on a shirt. I'm buying it. So we'll be right back with Star Trek: The Boldly Positive, and then we are going to do our Salt Burn React, and that will be the end of TogetherCon. So take your break, stretch your legs, get some water, go to the bathroom, and we'll be right back.